Hi, Tony DeWitt here. Missouri appellate attorney, and most of the time I'm trying to make the law make sense here on YouTube, but this special series is about success. So this time I'm going to talk about perseverance. So stay tuned. One of the things that I find particularly troubling about American education is that we give our children facts and figures. We know when the War of 1812 started. We know what president was the president when the Civil War ended. We know about John Wilkes Booth. But there are so many things we don't know about how to use that education in such a way as to become successful. The famous motivational speaker Zig Ziglar said that wisdom is knowledge rightly applied. The American education system gives people lots of knowledge, but very little wisdom. So today we're going to talk about this value of perseverance and why it is so important to success. Because failure is not an individual. Failure is an event. Failure is something that happens, but it does not turn someone into a failure. It isn't getting knocked down that makes you a failure. It's not getting back up. And it's not re-entering the fight and moving forward. That's the key, and I think a lot of times people miss that. I want to talk for a moment about probably one of my boyhood heroes, a guy by the name of Thomas Alva Edison. Now, we all know that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, and we also know that he invented things like the phonograph, and he came up with a microphone that made the telephone work better, and he invented lots and lots of different things. What a lot of people don't know is that he tried 10,000 things to make the light bulb light and stay lit before he finally found something that worked. So somebody asked him once about that, and he said, they said, "You failed 10,000 times. Why did you keep going?" And he said, "I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 things that didn't work." It is also an interesting tale about Thomas Edison that when he would hire a new engineer for his company, the first thing he would do is he would invite them to dinner at his house. And then he would observe them. And if they salted or peppered anything before they ate it, he would not hire them. And the reason he wouldn't hire them is he said they were not objective. They had their minds made up in advance about whether that food had enough salt on it or not. And as a result, he simply would not hire people who were not objective. So objectivity is a bit of a different value, but the interesting thing here is that Thomas Edison believed in the principles of science and in the principles of perseverance. He kept trying where many other people failed. Now, you may have also seen somewhere along the line the list of President Lincoln's many failures going through life. There's a list of those failures in gray and a list of his successes in red. He was elected captain of the Illinois militia. He later failed in business, and then later in that same year, he was appointed postmaster of New Salem and appointed deputy surveyor of Sangamon County. In 1834, he was elected to the Illinois state legislature. In 1836, he had a nervous breakdown. But then in 1836 later, he was reelected to the Illinois legislature and licensed to practice law. In 1937, he was responsible for helping move the state capitol. Then he was defeated for Speaker of the House. Then he was nominated for Illinois Speaker and reelected to the Illinois House and served as the Whig floor leader. He was chosen as a presidential elector. He was admitted to practice law in the U.S. Circuit Court. He argued his first case in 1840 before the Illinois Supreme Court and was defeated for a nomination to Congress. And then in 1844, he established his own law practice. In 1846, he was elected to Congress. And then in 1848, he lost renomination to Congress because he chose not to run. In 1849, he was rejected for land officer. But in that same year, he was admitted to practice before the U.S. Supreme Court and declined an appointment as the governor of the Oregon Territory. In 54, he was defeated for the U.S. Senate. In 56, he was defeated for nomination to vice president. And in 58, he was again defeated for the U.S. Senate. But in 1860, he was elected president of the United States. You see, although Lincoln had a steady string of failures, he also had a steady string of successes. So it's a question of which you wish to look at. Do you wish to look at the successes, or do you wish to look at the failures? I think it makes a lot more sense to focus on the successes. You know, I once read that obstacles are those frightful things we see when we take our eyes off our objective. The fact of the matter is, obstacles get put in your life and put in the way of what you want, not because fate or the world or God wants to abuse you, but rather because there are things that you have to be shown. There are obstacles you have to climb in order to get there. You sometimes have to prove just how much you want something in order to have it. And that is a principle that should not be lost on you. Another issue with regard to perseverance is the fact that a lot of people get frustrated when they make very slow progress. On this channel, for example, I've been at it for almost 9 months now, and I only have 105 subscribers. Well, you know, I could bellyache about that, but I'm not going to, because one of the things that I draw a lot of strength from is what I would call Eastern wisdom. And Confucius said that the man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Think about that. The fact of the matter is, we often make progress in very slow, very deliberate means, and we don't always see it at the end of the day. You know, a person who writes a book may only be able to write 10 pages a day, but that 10 pages puts him 10 pages closer to a finished book. It is easy to get discouraged, but perseverance is what you need if you really want to be successful. The great Nelson Mandela said that everything seems impossible until it's done. Talk about a guy who had to fight City Hall for a long time, who spent years in solitary confinement in a prison in South Africa, only to later become the president of that country. There's a guy who understands perseverance right there. Marianne Radmacher, a person I do not know, but apparently a reasonably famous author, said, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is that little voice at the end of the day that says, 'I'll try this again tomorrow.'" What a wonderfully profound statement. And then one of my very favorite books of all time, one of my very favorite movies of all time, is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. In that book, she says, "Real courage is when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway and see it through no matter what." There have been numerous cases where everyone told me I was licked before I started. You can't hold a nursing home responsible for this terrible death. Don't even try. There is just no way you're going to win this insurance case. Insurance companies are way too powerful. But at the end of the day, I prevailed in those instances because even though I knew the odds were against me, I fought hard, I fought fairly, and I persevered. John Wayne is credited with the statement that no man can stand against you if you are in the right and you keep on coming. There's some good wisdom there too. There are numerous books that I recommend when I talk about success. One of them is Think and Grow Rich. Another one is The Power of Believing, The Magic of Believing. These books are antidotes to discouragement. They are the vaccine against being defeated before you start. Because what the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It may not achieve it in one day. It may not achieve it in 2. It may not achieve it in 2 years. But the man who is in the right and keeps on coming will eventually prevail. Think about that. So that's my presentation today on perseverance. I hope you found it interesting, helpful, thoughtful, perhaps inspirational. If you have, I would really appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up there. And if you haven't already, go over here and touch that subscribe icon and click on the notification bell so you can be notified anytime we release a video here on this channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a terrific day. I'll catch you on here again shortly.